Americans have private insurance. Okay? So they're covered. And that's what we forget. When we talk about the 44 million uninsured or whatever that number is,
yeah, the 250
we forget that most people have private insurance, and even though they struggle with it, they're happy with it. Like, approval ratings of private insurance is about 80%, 73%, somewhere in there. So it's that's why people are very, very nervous. Here's the way it's going to work, and here's what we think are the fallacies. What the Democrats want to propose is a public option, a government-subsidized insurance plan that won't be actuarially sound on its own. It'll only be actuarially sound because of full faith and credit by the federal government, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all those great programs that we've talked about before.
Right.
So then our concern is they will undercut private insurance. In other words, they'll be able to charge less because they don't have the capital requirements.
Right.
And so by charging less, then you're going to have businesses, large or small, and it's going to be a pay. They either will be mandated to pay, and if they don't want to provide private insurance on their own, or their private insurance costs so much that they want to jettison them to the public option, they have to pay an 8% payroll tax. Now, payroll is very important. Payroll means those based upon the salary. So, you know, the blue-collar, small businesses that have small payrolls could very well say, it is going to be cheaper for me to pay this 8% and jettison my employees to this public option than to continue to operate this way.
Right.
Where, you know, the high payroll companies will say, no, you know, 8% payroll is a lot more than if I negotiate for my own private insurance. So here we go again, the Democrats attacking really the middle class and the poor on their policies versus, you know, who they say they're defending. So that's the problem.
And then you think that the Republicans are going to come up with some amendment that says this public entity, if it's good enough for the public, we as elected officials change our health insurance to this public option.
I can guarantee you that if they allow a markup in my committee, there will be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 chances to vote to do that for members of the committee. And I'm almost positive that even in a motion to recommit, you'll see that as part of the motion to commit at the end of a bill on the floor of the House.
What's going on in Washington? My biggest bone of contention with all of this is we've had everybody on, experts, healthcare experts, we've had congressmen, we've had senators on, all talking about this. But what and this isn't a left or a right issue, maybe this is more of a criticism of the media. We don't know what's being debated. It's being argued whether it's good for America, whether it's bad for America, who's going to win, who's going to lose. But you're talking about changing the way we get our health care. It would be nice to inform us once in a while about what actually might change.
And that's why we're preaching go slow. And that's why that's the point that we want to take. And I made it off air while during the break to some of the folks here, is that by moving fast, the liberals in Washington, and they want us to pass this through the House without you all, the media, whether it's print, over the air, without you all getting a chance to really go through the details and help educate the public how they are helped or how they are harmed. And it's intentional to keep everyone in the dark. That they're dropping the bills the day of a markup or the day of a floor vote is intentional to keep the information away from us so that we can't use our bully pulpit and the floor to really debate things we don't know. You know, the stimulus, the 900-page stimulus bill and the AIG bonus issue, had we were given a chance to read that bill, that thing would have never blown up. We would have pulled that baby out right away. But so we're very, very angry. It's intentional to deceive the public, and there's no reason they have to go fast.
All right, so let's try and get through some of the things that might happen. Is there going to be, or is there somewhere debated in some bill that you're going to have to be voted on here at some point that says every American must carry some type of health insurance?
The plan going through my committee, which is changing because they're negotiating over the weekend and stuff. The Congressional Budget Office, which is a nonpartisan office of us, which has got the Democrats all mad because of their scoring, says that even with their bill, only 97% of all Americans would have some type of health insurance. So it's not going to get 100%. There is a mandate on employers,
Right.
No matter what size, either to stay in or pay an 8% payroll tax. There is a debate, and I'm a Republican, and we're not really force guys to do things.
Right.
Structured correctly, where you have a private insurance option instead of a public insurance option, I'm not really averse to everyone having some type of catastrophic coverage. I mean, we're talking about like a high deductible cost, so that they have a major medical issue, that they have an insurance product that helps. Because the biggest problem in healthcare is cost shifting.
Because we have universal health care today. It's in a sense.
In essence, because of compassionate care and Medicare and Medicaid and government state programs that are really funded through Medicaid, everyone does have access.
Right. And even though we don't necessarily treat diabetes, we treat the person whose foot is being amputated at the end of diabetes.
Well, and that's a government-run program that does that. I mean, that's Medicare, which says it's a fee-for-service system. It's not a preventative issue. Now, we've been trying to change government health care to be more wellness-centered. There is a debate that there will be a huge savings on that, but I would profess that government is not the way to incentivize people into wellness. It's the private sector. It's incentivizing you by lower rates to go into wellness programs.
Do you and your party, do you want to see some type of change in the healthcare system?
Yeah, because the funding stream is the most frustrating thing. Go to any hospital, go to PJC, go to Christian, go to any of these St. John's. I do it, and I'm sitting in the boardroom with all the monkey bucks, and the chief financial officer is always there, and he starts pushing over to me this stack of documents, and on top is the balance and income statement. And on there, they'll have highlighted compassionate charity care, which, depending upon the size, whether it's a small rural hospital in Olney, Illinois, or it is one of the big monsters here in St. Louis, they will write off a large percentage of compassionate care. And so if we had catastrophic coverage where everyone had individual policy that their insurance would help cover that, then you wouldn't have this cost-shifting problem that we talk about and other people paying, mostly the private insurance, paying. Because our public insurance right now, Medicare and Medicaid, pays less than the services rendered. Because we're government. We can tell a practitioner, okay, take this patient, and we're going to pay you, we're not going to pay you the going rate. We're going to pay you 80, 75% of what is the going rate to see a patient.
Right. Is it true that congressmen and senators, they have the best health care in the world, right?
Yeah. I don't have dental. So, that's the old joke, you know. But no, we do have an option of some choices. Where we can do a medical savings account, we can do a flexible spending plan, we could do traditional health insurance plan with a deductible. So I think that the benefit of ours is the Federal Employees Health Benefit Plan, FEHBP, is for all federal employees. So a congressman doesn't have any better benefits than someone who works as a Department of Defense civilian or with the Corps of Engineers.
Right. Now that system couldn't work for all of us.
Well,
or good.
Well, I think what people were saying, here's an interesting debate in the amendments that we'll see, is if and when we go back to mark up the bill, or if it goes to the floor, you're going to see an amendment saying, if it's good enough, if you're going to have a public insurance option, and that's where a lot of people will go who don't have insurance, then we at the federal level should be in that plan. Lead by example. It's what everybody asks us to do. When Democrats ask, will they support that, they always say no. Their response is no. What we want to do is set up choices. So public option is a choice, or your conventional insurance plan. We're saying if it's good for the public as a whole, then it's good for us, and we'll vote. There'll be numerous votes.
So you're saying
put us in the